Good morning everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lauren and today I'm going to be filming the long-awaited book sleeve tutorial video for you guys. So I've already chosen my fabrics. Here's a little sneak peek. I'm going to show you those in just a second, but I've chosen an outer fabric and an inner fabric. So quickly before we get into this, the supplies you would need for the book sleeves that I make is an inner fabric and an outer fabric. I'm going to be making a medium size for us today, so you'll need one button for a medium size. I do also have a large and a small that I'll run you through the measurements of, and the large one I do 2 buttons on, and the small I only do 1. The other thing you will need is some elastic. You can pretty much get any elastic, just choose one that kind of resembles this because you just want it to have a little bit of stretch. You don't need it to have too much at all. It is roughly 3 inches or 8 centimeters. I'm also going to be trying to remember to put all of the measurements of every single thing that you will need down below in the description. So if you forget any of the measurements before you start making the product, then you can refer to the below. Apologies if the printer is quite loud as well. It definitely annoys me sometimes, but I have a lot of stuff to print at the moment for notepads, so sorry about that. The last thing that you guys would need is a wadding. So you might be able to see behind me, I have a massive roll of wadding. I also have pre-cut wadding, which is what I'm going to be using today. The wadding just looks like this. It's really just basic white polyester wadding. I use 200 GSM polyester wadding. You can get it from your local craft stores. I get mine wholesale, obviously, because I've got a massive roll up there. But yeah, you can get it from local places as well. Just keep in mind that the better quality you go with, the easier it is to work with. But I was using the cheap quality for ages and was perfectly fine, so don't stress if you spend a little less money on wadding because it is not visible anyway. From that intro, let's get stuck straight into making these book sleeves. So I already told you the measurements of the elastic. Otherwise we have the button. I use a button that is 2.5 centimeters in diameter, so about an inch-ish. So just go for something like that, but you can really go for any size at all. It doesn't really matter at all. For the fabric, the inner and outer fabrics are both the exact same size. I do no differences in that department. So the large book sleeves are 9.5 inches by 13 inches. So if you need centimeter measurements, go down below because I'll have the difference there. Then the medium book sleeves are 8 inches wide by 10.5 inches high. And the small book sleeves are 7 inches wide by 9 inches high. In my case today, I am going to be working with a fabric that does have to face a certain way. The fabric looks like this. I think it's really bright, really colourful. It's got some birds on it. You can see all the beautiful birds. It's in this nice purpley pink and blue colour pattern here, and I think that it's absolutely gorgeous. And then I haven't unfolded the lining fabric, but I'm going to go with this really light purple one. It's got a floral sort of pattern to it, but it goes super duper well with the lighter purples that are in the birds' front feathers and these purple flowers that are around the birds. It just goes really well with that, and the actual flower pattern is a really similar shape to the purple flowers on here, so it almost works perfectly. So yeah, I'm going to be making a medium book sleeve as I said, so I'm going to be doing an 8-inch piece of fabric by 10.5. I'm going to film cutting this fabric for you guys so that you can see how I do it. I do it with a rotary cutter on my big blue cutting mat. So I always fold my fabric in half because I just find that easy to work with, and then the folded line I make sure is lined up perfectly with the lower line that I'm using along here. So I'll line up the edge and then cut it so that it's flush. And then because we're making the medium, remember we wanted it to be 8 inches wide here. The scraps, then we want 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.5. I'm going to cut that off. And then we're going to move it over to this side and make sure that the bottom is flush perfectly. And we give that a slice. And giving that a slice down there. That does leave us with the 2 pieces of the outer fabric that we need, so let's do the inner fabric as well. then the last thing we need is 2 pieces of the wadding, and you can see that I cut my wadding to be just bigger than the fabric. So it's got a little bit of an edge around it, just so that I can sort of move the fabric as it sews and it won't not fit. I will also be using 1 piece of elastic, and then I don't actually have any buttons with me at the moment in the business area. I know they're inside the main house though. So when we get to doing the buttons, I will go out and grab that and show you what I do. But for now, let's start quilting up these fabric panels. So that's them looking great. So I keep all of my button stuff in this little purple pouch. No, purple is not my favorite color, although these two are kind of matching at the moment. And all my button stuff includes some little scissors, my button pouch that I usually put my sewing needles in. So I just have a little needle, and this one has some thread already on it, so I'll definitely make use of that. Otherwise I have another bit in there. And this is my little bag of buttons. And then I have my brown thread that I just got from Spotlight. I also have some spare needles just in case I somehow break one or something happens. And then at the very bottom I have a little needle threader because threading needles really sucks. So I have a little one here. But yeah, you'll just want to thread your needle. I do the thread in and then go the whole way down, tie the ends together so that it's a double thread on the one needle. I'm going to put away all of this stuff. We're going to grab out 1 button because that's all we need, and let's sew this button on. What you're going to do is grab the panel that you're going to be using, and I'm going to take the button, and for the medium size I do it so the bottom 2 holes I can just see the thread coming through on them. So it's just a little bit above that spot there. On the small size book sleeves, I do it just a little bit below the cross because otherwise it's too high. So I do it just a little bit below, which you can kind of see in this one that the button placement means that it is just a little bit below that cross. And on the large book sleeves, I do it so that the top buttonholes are in line with the cross, but just below. I think that works, and I do that for each side there. So I think you guys can see that properly. I hope that makes sense. We're gonna place the button just above so that we can see through there. And then what I like to do, hopefully I can get this. So I do it through the bottom right hole, across the diagonal to the top left hole, then I do the bottom left hole across to the top right hole. From here I do 3 across from the bottom right to the top left, and then I do 3 across from the bottom left to the top right, and then I'll tie it off on the back. So I'm filming from a little bit of a funny angle, but what we're going to do is do the lining fabrics first. So we're going to put right sides together over here. There's my 1/4 inch line is here on my machine and my 1/2 inch line is there. I do in between them. And that's where we start. So we're going to sew a little bit, leave a hole, and then continue our stitch onto the end. And let's stitch this all the way up. So once again we're doing right sides together, but we want to make sure that the birds are the right way, so just doubly make sure that you check that. So I try to press down the fluff as I go here. And this one we definitely want to make sure that we trim the corners of. Using my tiny little scissors does not make it easy, but it's what we have. So I'm hoping that you guys can see this, but I'm just going to turn the lining fabric right side out, and then I'm going to put it on the inside of the outer fabric. And what we're going to do, we can see that the button was sewn in on this side, so we're going to start on this edge. So the button will be facing down. And I'm going to match up the lining fabric edge over here with the outer fabric. You guys are going to find this super hard to see, so I'm really sorry about that. But we're going to put the presser foot down, and we're going to sew about 1/4 of an inch around the whole top edge to close the entire thing. But when we get to this side, we're going to put the elastic in. So now that the button side is face up, if we can flatten the book sleeve like this, we fold the elastic in half so that we've got a nice neat loop, and we're going to put it on the inside at this point. It's going to go on the inside of the fabric on this side here. So we're just going to make sure to center it between the diagonal lines and sew right over the top. We're done, and as you can see, the elastic ends are sticking out the top here because the loop is on the inside. Now we're going to stick our hand in and use this hole that we made at the bottom of the lining fabric to pull the whole book sleeve through. So you might find it a little bit hard, you might find it fun, but this is super exciting to me because this is when you can really see the book sleeve fully taken shape. You can stick your hand right in to pop those corners out. And because we trimmed off the excess fabric of those corners, it makes it super neat. And that is what our book sleeve is looking like. And then we've got to sew closed this little opening at the top of the lining fabric. And now and then flip that straight on in to the inside of the book sleeve. But the last step that I like to do, sorry, I'm just getting the corners all the way in. The last step that I like to do is do a top stitch all around the outer edge here. So I'll fold in the lining so that I can just see the outer fabric from over the top of the lining. And I'm just going to do a sewn line 1/4 of an inch around the whole top edge. I trim off the extra threads of that, and I'll give you a full tour. Alright everybody, we have officially finished sewing this book sleeve, and I think it looks so cute! So you can easily slip the elastic off. There, the button is nicely sewn on. We've got the little Flinwicky tag down the bottom just for marketing purposes. If you don't own a business, you don't need to put a little tag in it at all. And then I've put my little notebook inside it. It fits in nice and smoothly. I think it's a great size for most paperback books, really high page count books, or large hardcover books. Then maybe go with a size large and make that instead. Again, those measurements are 9.5 inches by 13 inches. You'll need 2 pieces of elastic and 2 buttons for that one, just so that you get a nice good closure. Having the little button closure means that your book will stay nice and safe, and the padding from the wadding means that it is going to be so super duper cozy and luxurious for your books. Your books will thank you. But yeah, we've got the lining on the inside. I think that the lining fabric looks super gorgeous and it works so well with the outer fabric, and I can't wait to sell this If you want this, it will be available on the 20th of June, so I hope you love it and I hope that you want to buy it because yeah, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I think that is about it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Comment down below if there's anything else that you would love to see me sew, or if you would like me to show you how I make the larger sizes as well, because the large is definitely a little bit different with the buttons. Not super different, just a little bit, and I think I showed you guys where I place them pretty well, so if you do have any questions I can figure it out for you, so I hope that you enjoy. I hope you have a great time sewing your own book sleeve. If you can't sew, don't have a sewing machine, or don't have the motivation, then feel free to purchase off of my website because I would love that as well. Anyway, have a great rest of your day and night wherever you are in the world. I love you so much, and goodbye!